What's up, guys? Eric Prey, Focus Fishing Guide Service, Table Rock Fishing Intel. Got another video fishing report for you for Table Rock. It is Wednesday, September the 16th. Been on the water, gosh, pretty much every day since the last time when we did a report. As far as our lake level is concerned, we are at 915.6, which puts us about a 1.5 feet below normal pool. They've pretty much got Beaver Lake back to normal, dropping bull shoals as fast as they can or as steadily as they can, and I think they're about 12 or 13 feet high, so definitely getting all the lakes back in shape. Water temperature, we are right around 79, 80 degrees, depending on where you are in the lake. For the most part, I'm seeing 80 degrees by about midday every day. Pretty much all over the lake. This little cold snap has definitely cooled some things off, dropped our water temperature by a few degrees, and it does have the fish moving quite a bit. With that in mind, I'm going to hit you guys again and remind you to check out TableRockFishingIntel.com. We have got daily reports on there, usually at least one daily report, sometimes 2 or 3 daily reports. But it really helps you guys stay in tune where the fish are, where they're going to be, what they're doing, what they're moving. If you're only fishing on the weekends and you were down last weekend and the water was 82, and by this weekend, if it gets down to about 77, 78, well, those fish have moved. And if you're not a member of Table Rock Fishing Intel, you're going to have a hard time staying with those fish, staying on that bite, and staying on the changing bite. So I do recommend that you go check out TableRockFishingIntel.com. But if you guys are coming down, so you're going to fish the lower end of the lake, I'll be honest with you, the lower end of the lake is the toughest part of the lake right now. Not sure if it's because of the boat traffic, the number of guide trips that have been run out of there over the last 3 months, but it is definitely tougher at the lower end of the lake. 3 bites we're working on down there right now. There is a topwater bite first thing in the morning, or if you have a cloudy day, you can catch them on steeper rocky banks, and even off of these steeper rocky banks pretty well with a buzzbait, with a whopper plopper, with a spook, or with a popper. Just kind of depends on what your favorite topwater bait is, or what your favorite way to fish shallow with a topwater is. But you can definitely catch them on these key on shade, on these shallow banks, rock, kind of ledge rock, broken rock, 45 degree or better slope to it. You definitely can catch some fish doing that. That bite tends to wane as soon as the shade goes away. So from there, we're throwing a swim bait a little bit, either the Jack and Jaw swim bait or a Kitech swim bait on usually the Gem Shad 2.0 head, and most of those fish are coming on gravel mixed with rock points and banks. Catching a few on the Pee-wee football jig, doing that as well. That bite is kind of on one day, off the other. It really just depends on if the bait have moved up and the fish have moved up. But we did have a good day, I think it was Monday, throwing a Pee-wee football jig and caught quite a few up in less than 20 foot of water on a Pee-wee football jig and bass whacker with a Zoom Speed Craw as a trailer. And then of course you've got a drop shot bite. The drop shot bite is still hanging on, and it will still hang on all the way through the month of September. It always does. Seems like most of these fish are starting to transition a little bit. I know I've been saying it's been mostly on gravel in that 24 to 30 foot range. Those fish are still there. They're a bit more scattered with this cool water, and a lot of the drop shot fish we're starting to catch are either in the treetops, around trees that top out around 30 feet, or around some of the bigger docks and some of the wave break docks down there, some of the community docks or the wave breaks out in front of the big marinas and stuff. Catching those fish, drop shot in the Jack and Jaws drop shad. Most of these fish are suspended between 25 and 30 feet over. It really doesn't matter, 70, 80, 100 feet deep. Just look for them to be suspended around those docks and around the shade of the docks. Come up to Kimberling City where I am today, the same bites are working. You definitely want to have a topwater tied on, and by topwater I mean a buzzbait, whopper plopper, spook, popper, whatever you like to throw as a topwater. Have that tied on first thing in the morning. Most of the fish we're catching on topwater are not out on the points. They're not busting shad. You're not going to see a lot of fish busting. You want to hit those steeper rocky banks, ledge rock, 45 degree chunk rock, that sort of thing, and look for shade. Key on the shade, and you're basically parallel in the bank. That's how we've been catching them on topwater all over the lake for the last week or so. Working in Kimberling as well. Swim bait bites pretty good here as well. Jack and Jaws swim bait in either 2.8 or 3.3, or the Kitech, either one, same sizes. just a shad color, whatever your favorite shad color is. The color doesn't seem to matter, but we have been throwing it on the Jewel Gem Shad 2.0. I caught a few on the Pee Wee football jig here as well this past week, most of them on gravel and rock mix, not just straight flat gravel. You need a little bit of rock mixed in there because it really seems that these fish are holding on whatever little bit of rock you can find, anywhere from about 10 to about 20 foot deep, some a little bit deeper if it's sunny, but really most have been 10 to 20 foot deep. Pee Wee football jig, best color has been Bass Whacker by far, with a Speed Craw as a trailer. And then of course the drop shot. We're going to continue to use the drop shot when it gets tough, when the shallow bite turns off later in the day. Get out there and drop shot over top of some trees or around some of the bigger docks. That's where you're going to find these fish suspended 25 to 30, even 35 foot deep, either over deep trees or around some of the bigger community boat docks. That's where I'm catching them on a drop shot. Go up into the James. Best bite up the James is still on a jig. We have been catching a few on that shallow topwater bite early as well, with either a buzzbait, whopper, plopper, spook, popper, something like that. Most of these fish are really pretty shallow. They're less than 5 foot deep, and we're fishing those steeper chunk rock, ledge rock type banks, keying on shade. Chase that shade, the best way you're going to get bit doing that. But then we're switching over to a jig once that's over. I'm catching them on the Pee Wee football jig up there. Again, gravel and rock mix is the key. The fish are really relating to rock right now as they move up shallower. Bass Whacker with a Speed Craw, and it's been my best trailer up there. They're a little bit shallower up there. You can usually catch them between 8 and about 15 foot deep up there. And then flipping docks. Had a pretty good day up there again this past week, flipping and pitching around some of the docks in like Ants Creek, Woolly Creek, not so much any of the other creeks, but mostly Ants and Woolly, and then a few on the main lake as well. But keying on those docks that are on that gravel and rock mix stuff, not just straight gravel, not sheer rock. Seems like the fish are like that. A little bit of mix and a little bit of brush really makes a difference on that. Been pitching the 7/16 Jewel Pro Spider jig, Okeechobee Blue and Green Pumpkin Candy were my two best colors. Really not doing well with Bass Whacker up there, and I haven't figured that out, but matching that up with a Speed Craw again or a pocket chunk and just pitching to the shade. The shade is key right now. When these fish, since these fish are moving shallow, they really want to be in the shade, whether it's on the bank chasing a topwater or on a jig around a boat dock. Go up into the White River. All these same bites are working in the White River. You definitely want to have a topwater tied on, buzzbait, whopper, plopper, spook, popper, any of those will work. Have that tied on, have it ready. Don't necessarily have to see these fish busted. Because these fish are so shallow, it's purely a reaction bite. Go to a ledge rock, chunk rock bank, 45 degree or steeper, and follow the shade. Again, follow the shade. If you are fishing a west bank that's got direct sun on it at 7:30 in the morning, you're probably not going to get bit. But if there's a bank on the east side of the lake that doesn't have any sun on it at 7:30 in the morning and it's the right steepness or the right type of rock, you're definitely going to catch some fish doing that. So keep that in mind as well. Swim bait bites working up there too. The Jack and Jaw swim bait in either 2.8 or 3.3 or a Kitech in 2.8, 3.3. Again, color doesn't really seem to matter. Pro Blue's been good, Sightfish has been good, Sexy Shad's been good, Bluegill Flash, all those have been good colors. Have been fishing it basically for these suspended fish, and they're probably suspended over about 8 to about 15 foot of water, and just counting it down and getting it down about 4 or 5 feet. Fishing it on the Jewel Gem Shad 2.0. Drop shot bite, of course, is working too. Caught several fish drop shotting treetops and around bigger boat docks, just like we are everywhere else on the lake with the Jack and Jaws drop shad or a Chompers drop shot worm. Both of those have been good. And then the jig bite. We're certainly starting to catch a lot more fish on a jig, especially up the White River, especially when you get from Shell Knob further up. Seems like those fish are a lot further along than they are anywhere else except for possibly the James as far as making a fall transition. We're throwing the Pee Wee football jig and Bass Whacker with a Speed Craw as a trailer, and working that thing on the bottom on gravel and rock mix points anywhere from about 10 to about 20 foot deep. Really seems to be the key depth. You can probably catch them on a shaky head. You can probably catch them on a Ned rig doing the same thing. I just like throwing the football jig, the Pee Wee football jig, because it's a little bit, you can work it a little bit faster because it's heavier. So that's kind of been my deal up there. Guys, we are halfway through September. we pretty much got our lake back. The boat traffic's still a little bit thick, but it's not nearly as bad as it was before Labor Day, so things are great. I don't think a single boat's gone behind me while I've been shooting this video, so definitely got more peace on the lake, and the bite's been good, and it's really changing. I mean, you know, it's changing in one day. Earlier this week I had 2 trips down by the dam and fished drop shot the first trip and caught them. Couldn't get bit on a jig. The next day we went out and had a hard time getting bit on drop shot, but caught them on a Pee Wee football jig. So bite's changing. Really, the best way to stay in tune with that, again, is to join Table Rock Fishing Intel, because we're going to put up a daily report every day and let you know how they're biting, where they're biting, and what we're doing. So check out TableRockFishingIntel.com. But if you're coming down, want to hire a guide, give me a call. It's Focus Fishing Guide Service. You can reach me at 417-860-4743, or hit my website, focusfishing.com, and either shoot me an email or book online. Either way, I get back to you as soon as I can. Guys, thanks for watching the videos. Again, take a moment, check out Table Rock Fishing Intel if you would, please. Thanks for watching. Can't wait to hear from you. We'll see you on the water.